Welcome back to the Ten8 MMA podcast brought to you by RainBet. I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Alex Pereira. What's going on, Alex?
What's up, bro? It's been a couple weeks off. I mean, I enjoyed the week off with no UFC, but now we're back. And to top it all off, we haven't even talked about UFC 303. Before we even talk about the card, how was your experience at the card?
Dude, I'll be honest. I've been to I think 8 MMA events now. That was by far my most favorite one. Like I was so depressed when they were like, "Yeah, we don't have Conor McGregor anymore, but we have Anthony Smith," and I couldn't get a full refund. They would give me a store credit refund, so I had to go to the event. And but yeah, dude, that was the most fun I've had at an event. The Brian Ortega debacle, the freaking Alex Pereira fight. Dude, I had a bucket list of fighters I wanted to see. Alex Pereira was in my top five, and that completes my top five. So I can't complain. The fights were badass.
Yeah, man. Alex Pereira is something that we've never seen before, man. He's speed running his UFC career and he's doing it in style. What do you think of the main event?
It was beautiful, dude. I have a bath. So I've said I've been to a lot of events. Every event I've gone to, the guy I've rooted for in the main event has always lost. I was at Conor Khabib. I was at Poirier McGregor 3, and yeah, that was good. I couldn't believe. So it was so loud in the arena. I'd never heard anything like it. When he dropped Jiri, we thought Herb Dean waved it off. We couldn't even. We had no idea that the round ended. It was so freaking loud. We never heard the clapper. It was so loud. And then I'm sitting there with my brother. I'm like, oh no, dude, this is like one of those stereotypical cases where Alex is now going to go out there and lose, and everybody's going to be, oh man, he got saved by the bell. And nope, he went out there in 6 seconds, just kicked him in the face. And yeah, I thought Alex was beautiful. I wish he would have called out John Jones or done something on the mic. He was kind of like jaded almost, and that was a little bit of a letdown. But all in all, that was like a 10 out of 10 event to be at.
What do you think Alex Pereira should do next? I think it's basically two thoughts. It's either he fights Magomed Ankalaev, which probably the biggest test for him, someone that he hasn't fought in that division, or he says fuck that and just goes up to heavyweight. What would you like to see him do?
Man, I'm here for the history. I want to see the heavyweight thing. I think he loses to Aspinall and John Jones, but I mean, why not throw him in there? He was. I know it's a bit different, but he was an underdog against Israel when they fought. He beat him. He was an underdog against um, Yuri. He was an underdog against Jamal Hill. Well, actually, Jamal Hill is pretty close to even, but still, like I don't want to doubt the guy anymore. If that's what he wants to do, I honestly fully trust him to not get blown out at least. The Magomed fight, I'm cool with, but the problem is, like, I don't know. I don't. Magomed's been sitting and waiting. I feel like because he wants his Abu Dhabi card, and he's had plenty of time to be active in that time. And when you look at his resume, dude, he's coming off of his back-to-back wins are Anthony Smith and Johnny Walker, which I think most people could do. So it is what it is. He's definitely a challenge. I feel like that's probably next, but I don't know. Heavyweight would be cooler.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, man, because I love to watch greatness unfold, and this is what we're seeing right now. I do agree, man. I think he gets demolished by Tom Aspinall and John Jones. So, like, if he goes up there, like, he loses some steam, I guess, a little bit. Not a whole lot because it's him going up and challenging for a third belt, which never has happened. On the flip side, I would like to see him fight Magomed Ankalaev because everyone is like, "Well, he's never been tested. We've never seen him fight a wrestler." Blah 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 blah, and it's like, yeah, we saw that against Jan Blachowicz, or Yuri has good wrestling. It's just they don't
That's what I
want
was
to
going to
wrestle,
say.
you
You were
know.
like, he's never been tested on the ground. I was like, do you guys realize Jiri and Jamal both did work against Glover on the ground? I mean, they're both competent wrestlers. I know Magomed's a bit better than them, whatever, but like we haven't seen him tested because I mean, there's reasons for that. He's hard to take down. Well, not I guess once you get in, he's not that hard, but I mean, there's a risk trying to enter there. I mean, there's reasons why. Like it's not just a simple thing. Like you take Alex down, you're gonna win. This and let's talk about Magomed, dude. Jan Blachowicz tore his legs up. If Jan Like people were like, oh, if Izzy could take down Pereira, well, how about if Jan can kick Ankalaev's legs and like, yeah. And I had one more thought on that. There's another fight I'd like to see. I know there is literally 0% chance this happens, but just to prove that Stipe is not the man for this fight, for the John Jones fight, he doesn't deserve it. Let's let Alex face him. That I think is a very good fight.
Yeah, I'd rather see like him fight like a Derek Lewis type of thing to like get his feet wet at heavyweight.
Give
I
him a
think
free
that would
win.
be like kind of yeah. And then and then there's like the Khalil Roundtree. There's Carlos Ulberg who's connected with Izzy. So there's tons of fun fights at light heavyweight, and you know he is a massive human being, 1,000%. But like he fought at middleweight. Now he's fighting at light heavyweight, and he's a big light heavyweight. But like going to heavyweight against guys that cut from 265, I just think it's a big ask. And like you said, it's really hard to bet against him right now just because of how he's been looking. But I think at some point everyone has to get realistic and be like, if he fights Tom Aspinall, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't doubt him. I really think that he could. I mean, we saw Aspinall get caught against Sergey. It wasn't that significant, but I mean, I don't know. The MMA math is there. I'm down for it. Let's push Alex to greatness. That's what I want. But I think what's going to happen versus what I want to happen isn't there. I think Alex is trying to do this insane active run. I think he's down for the Saudi card. I think they make it happen.
I can guarantee you he's not fighting in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, is he not?
No, fuck no.
Why
He's
is that?
he doesn't want to fight in Abu Dhabi.
What a coward.
So who no one wants to fight in Abu Dhabi except for Russian fighters. So
Well, if Ankalaev isn't taking the fight, well, I mean, that's the only place he's going to fight. So I guess that kind of solves
no,
that
that's
puzzle.
that's not correct. He can fight in America.
But I thought he like only wanted to fight in Saudi. I thought that's the whole reason, like why he's been kind of inactive. He's pushing for
I
that
mean
card.
he fought Anthony Smith and Johnny Walker in America.
I know
So
that,
it's
but
like,
I thought because his card was scheduled, he was like trying to.
well, he can try all he wants, but he's not going to get that fight in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
So he'll most likely fight Alex Pereira in December.
December, maybe MSG.
Yeah. Last thing I just wanted to kind of touch on this card. We've been watching MMA for a long time. What Dan Ige did at UFC 303 is history again. It's literally insane. And while he is a bad motherfucker, we also have to give credit to Diego for his incredible hell week that he had to deal with. What were your thoughts on the whole situation?
Dude, I remember texting you when the rumors came out, and you were like, "Yeah, it's happening." I'm like, "That's not legal. Like, how is that happening?" I genuinely thought that wasn't legal, but dude, there's two sides of this coin. Like you just said, Dan Ige doing what he did, like coming off the couch, like watching the fights at home, and that's like the coolest thing I've ever heard. I think that UFC has to be his slave for the next couple years. He gets to do whatever he wants. He said he didn't want to fight in the Apex. He better never be in the Apex again. Um, the other side of this coin is I saw a few people saying, "Oh, Diego got fraud checked for not being able to finish him," and I'm sorry, that's like the stupidest take I've ever heard. Like Dan Ige is tough, and they both took. Diego was fighting a Ortega who fights nothing similar to Ige at all. This is like a brand new no game tape. Diego is physically fresher, but I mean we have to consider that like they both essentially took this fight on 3 hours notice. Like they had no game planning. They just went in there and just fought to their natural instinct abilities. And Diego's not a fraud. Ige's an awesome win, and I hope they redo the Ortega Lopez fight.
I think whoever said Diego Lopez got fraud checked is literally a fucking retard and probably shouldn't watch MMA anymore. And I say that with my chest, like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, especially because Danny Gay's never been finished, and he's one if not the hard. He's the toughest matchup in that division. That's not a champion or a number one contender. Like he is a tough dude to fight, no matter which way you look at it. So and yeah, so it was just a wild set of events that we've never seen before, and now they've kind of set a precedent now, so that if a fight ever falls out in Las Vegas, like they could make it happen day of, you know.
Yeah, whole thing was badass. But I agree with you. I don't see how you walk away from that. I think the general expectation was, oh, it's short notice. Diego's going to finish him, which I was there too. But I think that's more of a statement to Ige rather than a knock on Lopez.
Dude, Ige's never been finished, and he's fought
Josh
killers.
had it, and yeah, he's fought finishers.
Yeah, he's fought a lot of finishers, and never been finished, never been close to being finished. Like he's just a very tough dude. Durability is crazy, and he's just a bad dude for taking taking that fight. And it's crazy. I talked to him months before this fight. He's been calling out Diego Lopez for several months. So just to see him actually get the fight was pretty cool to see. And with that being said, UFC 03 is gone. Now we got to talk about UFC Denver, which is basically an Apex card located in Denver, Colorado. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on this card?
yeah, we got some whiplash going from Alex Pereira main event to Tracy Cortez. But to be honest, dude, I've seen a lot of hate on this card. The card itself actually isn't that bad. I think it's getting kind of overshadowed by how terrible the main event is. Um,
Sell me
but
on this card, bro. What about this card is awesome?
not awesome. But we have solid fights. Like there is like 6 fights on this card that I'm actually like, Apex. When you go to an Apex card, there's one, two, or zero fights that I actually want to see. There's like 6 fights on this card I'm pretty excited for.
What
Uh,
six fights are they?
Montel Jackson, Damon Blackshear. I think that's going to be a freaking heater. Joshua Vance fighting. That's a good one. Uh, I like Christian Rodriguez. He borderlines right there if I want to see. Gabriel Bonfim, I'm excited to see him. I like watching him fight, even though he kind of got fraud checked. But I'm excited for that. Drew Dober and freaking Silva, that's cool. The Silva just fought 2 weeks ago. That's a nice fight. And Ponzinibbio, his fighting style is always fun.
All right, well, that was definitely six fights. So I mean, that's 2 fights and 4 fighters that you want to see fight. I
I'm
don't know if
saying
that.
this is better than Apex. This is slightly better than an Apex card. This is like Apex Plus.
All right, I will give you that. Yeah, I mean, it's a. I think the main card should deliver a lot of finishes, which would be fun to see. I am actually Fatima Klein, who's stepping in on short notice against Jasmine. She's a really good prospect. I'm looking forward to seeing her fight. And Drew Dober, if he knocks out John Silva, he's the all time knockout leader in the lightweight division, passing Dustin Poirier.
How are you
So,
going to call me out for being excited for this fight? And then you bring up an early prelim female fight. Just go ahead.
um, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely a card. It's definitely a fight card. What do you think of this main event?
I don't know how Tracy Cortez is in this position. I mean, you look at her records, like 11-2 or something like that. Like I get she's a prospect. What's even crazier is the betting lines. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I don't know how she's here. I think Rose is going to come in and outclass her for 5 rounds. Maybe we see Rose get a late finish somehow. But also, then again, maybe Rose pulls out the Carla Esparza and just stalls. But I don't think Tracy has that ability to do that to her. Uh, yeah, my prediction for that fight is Rose Namajunas. Pat Barry is going to bring the predator out of her, and she's going to go out there and look for the kill.
Yeah. Firstly, before I give you my thoughts on the fight, do you think the UFC has been protecting Tracy Cortez, or do you think it's just her being inactive and only fighting once a year that she's just kind of like not in the conversation in the
I think
flyweight
it's really
division?
just her being inactive. I mean, if you look at where her progression's at, I don't think she's being coddled or anything. I think she's fighting where she's supposed to be at. Yeah, I think this is way too much, way too soon.
Yeah, I just when looking at this fight, I just don't see a way Tracy Cortez beats Rose unless you hold her down for 5 rounds. And no one's really done that to Rose. It's a very rare thing. So I don't see Tracy Cortez does not have a finish in the UFC. I don't think she's going to finish Rose. Rose is very good takedown defense, and if she does get taken down, she's very dangerous off her back. So there's just in my eyes, there's not a way Tracy Cortez wins this fight.
Yeah, I think it stays on
So
the feet, and Rose
yeah,
outpoints her is most likely outcome here.
yeah,
Uh,
1,000%. Rose via unanimous decision. I think is free money this week.
yeah, so here's where I'll go into the betting spot of this. Rose is only a minus 218 favorite. Like, that is the golden parlay piece. Uh, Raybet has her at minus 220. And then there's another fight I'm looking at. Santiago Ponzinibbio. He's minus 185 against Muslim. I think Muslim's super old. His chin's gone. I don't see how. And he's like one of the few Islamic dudes that's not very good at wrestling. So I don't. This fight's gonna stay on the feet. Santiago is the much better striker. I have to take that. And if you parlay those two options with Rainbet, you get it at plus 125. So that's gonna be the parlay of the week here. And yeah, shout out Rainbet for that.
I like that bet. I think I'm going to lay some money on that because you usually win. Sometimes you don't, but I think you win this week.
Listen, I'm the best capper on my Twitter, baby. Shout out the Discord.
I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. Before we end this, did you have a chance? Did you watch Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal?
Yeah, so it was a really fun fight. I got to watch it. Uh, I don't know what to take away from it though. It's kind of weird. Like Nate Diaz punched himself in the face one time, and during the match, and he wants a rematch with Jake Paul. That's pretty stupid. They call it Leon Edwards, which is even stupider. I think that both Jorge and Nate are awesome, like former MMA boxers. They're not, the Tyron Woodleys of the world. So I say they both stick around, keep doing those kinds of fights, and yeah, but I don't think either one of them should face Jake Paul.
Did you have Nate Diaz winning that fight?
Yes, I actually did, and I thought he lost. Well, I bet on Nate to win, and I thought he lost. I thought it was. I scored it 7 rounds to 5 for Jorge.
Yeah, I went into this fight with basically zero expectations. I thought it was going to be a shit show, and it ended up being a very fun fight. And I think it kind of went exactly how everyone thought it was gonna go, in the sense of Jorge was gonna be the more powerful puncher, and Nate was gonna be volume and cardio, and it kind of went that way. Would you would you say?
Yeah, it did not go the way I expected. I mean, in a nutshell, like yeah, it went the way I expected for um, as far as what you said, power versus volume, but it was like way faster pace. It was way more exciting than I thought. Like that was a fight that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, man, I agree. It ended up being very fun, and the fact that they sold out the Honda Center uh, was actually pretty impressive, to be honest with you. It just shows how much of a superstar Nate Diaz still is to this day. The guy cannot lose ever. Like even when he loses a fight, he still wins. He still comes out unscathed, and not many fighters can do that other than Nate Diaz.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, like I said, I was watching that in the Shakur fight, and I was falling
Ooh.
asleep in the Shakur fight. That was so terrible. It should be illegal to fight somebody as like a minus 3,000 favorite, not get a finish. And I don't want to get into that. I hate boxing so bad. But yeah,
Yeah.
Nate Masvidal, I would even watch it again, even though it's a meaningless fight at this point. But when it's that fun, I don't really care.
I mean, I think they should do like jujitsu maybe because they did boxing, which is
I think Nate would kill in jiu-jitsu.
I think so too. I mean, I think do jujitsu, either karate combat or do basketball, a fucking game of 21.
Karate combat's actually fun just because it's such a hybrid rule set. I That would be massive.
Yeah, 1,000%, man, 1,000%. Awesome. Well, it was nice to be back doing the pod with you, bro. Missed talking with you last week. I do want to thank Rainbet for putting this all together. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be back next week for UFC Apex. Verna Jandaroba versus Amanda Lemos.
Hell yeah, fight of the year.